I never thought my own mother would look me in the eye and tell me my children weren't worth a spot on the family Christmas list. But that's exactly what happened 3 weeks ago. I'm standing in the middle of my parents' living room right now, listening to the deafening silence that followed my mother tearing open the custom wrapping paper of our gift. And I honestly need to know if I went too far, or if she finally got exactly what she deserved. Was I wrong for destroying my family's entire holiday season and exposing their cruelty in front of everyone they know? Or would you have done the exact same thing if it were your own kids being treated like second-class citizens? I need you to listen to how this all started, because the sheer calculation and malice behind what my parents did still makes my blood boil just thinking about it. To understand how we got to this point, you have to understand the dynamic in my family, which has always been heavily skewed toward my older brother, David. David can do no wrong in my parents' eyes. He's a successful corporate lawyer. He married a woman from a wealthy family named Vanessa, and together they have 2 boys, Mason and Liam, who are 10 and 8. My parents, Richard and Alina, absolutely worship those boys. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my nephews, but the blatant favoritism has been a dark cloud over my life for as long as I can remember. When I married my husband, Mark, who is a high school history teacher, and we had our twin daughters, Lily and Chloe, who are now 7, the gap between how David's family and my family were treated became a gaping canyon. My parents would fly across the country to attend Mason's Little League games, but they couldn't drive 20 minutes down the road to attend Lily and Chloe's joint birthday party, because my mom claimed she had a sudden migraine. We swallowed the bitter pill for years, making excuses for them because we didn't want to cause drama, and we wanted our daughters to have grandparents in their lives. Mark always told me to bite my tongue, saying that karma would eventually catch up to them, but nothing could have prepared us for the absolute disrespect that landed in our group chat in late November. It started with a notification on my phone on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. My mom had created a massive family group chat that included me, Mark, David, Vanessa, and even some extended family members like my Aunt Susan and Uncle Greg. The message attached to it was a PDF document titled, Official Harrison Family Christmas Gift Registry and Allocation List. I opened it, thinking it was just a fun, organized way for everyone to share their wish lists for the holidays. Instead, as I scrolled through the beautifully formatted spreadsheet, my heart sank into my stomach, and a wave of pure, unadulterated fury washed over me. The list was a detailed breakdown of exactly what my parents were buying for the grandchildren, complete with links, prices, and explicit instructions on who was receiving what. For David's sons, Mason and Liam, the list was staggering. My parents had purchased a brand new PlayStation 5 bundle for Mason, a high-end electric dirt bike for Liam, iPad Pros for both of them, and designer winter coats. The total expenditure next to their names ran into thousands of dollars. I kept scrolling, looking for Lily and Chloe's names. I scrolled through the entire document twice, thinking I must have missed a page or skipped a column, but there was nothing. My daughters, their own granddaughters who live just a few miles away, were completely absent from the list. There wasn't even a placeholder for them. They literally did not exist on my parents' official Christmas spreadsheet. I immediately called my mom, trying to keep my voice steady, giving her the benefit of the doubt that maybe it was just a technical glitch or an oversight. I asked her why Lily and Chloe weren't on the gift list. There was a long pause on the line, followed by a heavy sigh that told me everything I needed to know. My mom sighed and said that since David and Vanessa's boys are older and have higher academic standards at their private academy, they required more substantial rewards and investments for the holidays. She then had the nerve to tell me that because Mark and I chose a more modest lifestyle and sent our girls to public school, she didn't want to overwhelm Lily and Chloe with expensive things that wouldn't fit our home's aesthetic or values. She actually said that she had bought a generic pack of coloring books and some drugstore crayons for my girls, which she didn't think needed to be included on the official registry since they were just stocking stuffers. I sat there in absolute shock, tears pricking my eyes as I listened to my own mother rationalize why my daughters were worth a $20 trip to the pharmacy while my brother's kids were getting thousands of dollars in luxury electronics. When I told her how incredibly hurtful and unfair this was, she snapped at me, telling me I was being ungrateful, materialistic, and that I was ruining the holiday spirit with my jealousy. She told me that if I was going to be dramatic about a silly spreadsheet, maybe we shouldn't bother showing up for the family Christmas Eve dinner at all. When I hung up the phone, I was shaking. Mark came into the kitchen, saw my face, and immediately took the phone to read the group chat and the spreadsheet. I have never seen my husband, who is usually the most patient, calm man on the planet, look so genuinely angry. He didn't even try to calm me down this time. He looked at me and said that we were done being the family doormats. We both agreed that we couldn't subject our daughters to sitting under that Christmas tree, watching their cousins unwrap high-end gadgets while they were handed a box of cheap crayons, all while my parents smiled and pretended everything was normal. But instead of just bowing out quietly and letting my parents control the narrative by telling everyone we were just being difficult, I decided right then and there that I was going to give my mother exactly what she asked for. She wanted an organized, well-documented Christmas, and she wanted us to bring a gift that reflected our modest lifestyle. So, I spent the next 3 weeks meticulously planning the perfect response. I wanted to make sure that whatever we did would not only expose the truth, but would do so in a way that my parents could never wiggle out of or deny. So that is the exact situation I found myself in, sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a family that had completely cast my children aside for the sake of status and favoritism. I had to make a choice between staying home and suffering in silence, or walking right into the lion's den with a plan that would change our family dynamic forever. Before I tell you the absolute chaos that unfolded when my mother opened our specific gift in front of the entire extended family, I want you to pause right now and comment below. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have protected your kids by staying far away from that house, or would you have shown up to face them head-on? Let me know, because what we did next was a point of no return. We decided to show up to the Christmas Eve dinner, but we left Lily and Chloe at my mother-in-law's house for a fun night of baking cookies and watching movies. We told them that Santa was making a special early stop at Grandma's house, ensuring they were completely insulated from the toxicity. Mark and I dressed in our best clothes, put on our calmest, most pleasant faces, and walked into my parents' beautifully decorated, affluent suburban home carrying a single, elegantly wrapped gift box. The house was filled with the smell of roasting pine, expensive catering, and the chatter of our extended family. Aunt Susan, Uncle Greg, David, Vanessa, and the boys were all there. When we walked in without the girls, my mom immediately smirked, clearly thinking she had won and that I had kept the kids home out of spiteful jealousy. She welcomed us with a passive-aggressive remark about how sad it was that the girls couldn't make it, but remarked that it was probably for the best since the living room was going to be crowded with all of Mason and Liam's large presents. I just smiled, kissed her cheek, and placed our single, perfectly wrapped box directly in the center of the coffee table, right where everyone would see it. Throughout the entire dinner, I played the part of the perfect, unbothered daughter. I asked David about his law firm, I complimented Vanessa on her designer dress, and I listened to my mother brag incessantly about how brilliant her grandsons were. Every time she spoke, I just glanced at the box on the coffee table, feeling a cold, calm sense of anticipation. Finally, after dinner, everyone gathered in the grand living room for the main event. The boys tore into their gifts, shouting with joy as they unwrapped the PS5, the dirt bike gear, and the iPads, exactly as detailed on the infamous spreadsheet. My mom was beaming, glancing around the room to make sure everyone saw how generous and wealthy she was. Aunt Susan was making polite noises of approval, though I could see she was a bit uncomfortable with the sheer excess of it all. Once the mountain of wrapping paper from the boys was cleared away, my mom noticed the single box remaining on the coffee table. She laughed and said to the room, "Oh, look, it seems our modest daughter brought us something. Let's see what it is." She sat down on the sofa, pulled the box toward her, and began to untie the silk ribbon with the entire family watching. She tore away the wrapping paper to reveal a heavy, professional-grade black leather photo album with gold embossing on the cover. My mom looked confused for a second, probably expecting a cheap sweater or a generic gift card. She opened the cover, and the entire room fell dead silent, Inside the album, I hadn't put family photos. Instead, I had printed out high-resolution, full-page color screenshots of the official Harrison family Christmas gift registry and allocation list spreadsheet. But I didn't stop there. On the page directly opposite the spreadsheet, I had printed out a clear, enlarged transcript of the text messages and the phone conversation summary, where she explained that my daughters weren't worth including because of our modest lifestyle and public school education. Each subsequent page of the album featured a beautiful, professional portrait of Lily and Chloe smiling, contrasted against a printed copy of the bank statements showing the exact amount of money Mark and I had donated that week in my parents' names to a local charity that provides Christmas toys to underprivileged public school children. The final page of the album had a beautifully typed letter in large font that read, "Since Lily and Chloe didn't make the official cut for the Harrison family budget this year, we decided to use the money we would have spent on your gifts to ensure that children who are actually loved and valued by their communities have a bright Christmas. Thank you for teaching us what family truly means." My mother's face went from a smug smile to a pale, ghostly white as she turned the pages. She tried to close the book quickly, but Aunt Susan, who was sitting right next to her, leaned over and read the text messages out loud before my mom could stop her. Susan's jaw literally dropped. She looked at my mother in absolute disgust and said, "Eleanor, you actually wrote this. You excluded your own granddaughters from Christmas because of where they go to school." The room erupted into immediate chaos. David stood up, shouting at me that I was malicious, ambush-oriented, and that I had ruined his children's holiday by causing a scene. Vanessa looked mortified that their wealth and favoritism had been laid bare in front of the extended family. My dad was sputtering, trying to claim that the spreadsheet was just an internal financial document and wasn't meant to be offensive. But the proof was right there, beautifully bound in leather, immortalized in my mother's own words. Mark stood up, took my hand, and looked at my parents with a calm dignity that silenced the room. He told them that they would never have the opportunity to make our daughters feel less than human ever again. We walked out of that house while my mother was crying tears of embarrassment, not remorse, because her perfect, high society image had been completely shattered in front of her sister and brother-in-law. Since that night, my phone has been blowing up with furious texts from David and my dad, accusing us of being toxic and tearing the family apart. Aunt Susan, however, sent me a private message saying she was proud of us for standing up to them, and that she would be spending her future holidays with us instead. We spent Christmas Day watching our daughters laugh and play, surrounded by people who actually love them, completely free from the toxic shadow of my parents' conditional affection. I know I permanently burned a bridge, and I know I orchestrated a massive public humiliation, but looking at my happy daughters, I don't regret a single thing. I chose to protect my children's worth over maintaining a fake family peace that was killing us slowly anyway. When people show you who they are, you have to believe them, and my parents showed us that their love comes with a price tag and a social status requirement. Like this video if you were on my side, and think that protecting your kids from toxic grandparents is always the right move. Subscribe to the channel for more stories of standing up to toxic family dynamics and reclaiming your peace. And please share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. Did I handle the exposure the right way, or was the public confrontation too extreme? I'll see you all in the next story.